Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby Kinzer.
And I'm Thomas Doty.
And we are the FITT Show, helping our people get their finances in shape. We hope everybody had a wonderful week. Lot going on, as you can see in my background, in honor of the Queen, who has just passed. Long live the Queen. You can't say that no more, but God bless her soul. And that's in honor of, that's Big Ben and Parliament behind me. But last week we had a wonderful show as always. Got a lot of comments about the student loan forgiveness program. We covered a lot, dope. A lot of people were asking questions. A lot of people were thankful for the information. And a lot of people were complaining, saying it's not fair. Get over it. Help the little man for a change. So as always, as we say, make sure that you click on the like button and the heart button, and to make sure we get traction, we reach more people by you doing that. You can't hit it enough times, you all. That's how Facebook counts them. Go out on YouTube and please subscribe to our channel and share our Facebook page. Please do. Just want to remind you all, we're not registered fiduciaries, so we are not financial advisors, but we are financial educators, and that's what our whole job is about doing. So welcome, Dope. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm still a little alarmed that there's so much pushback on this on that student loan thing. A lot of people are complaining that the help is going to people who already have, a leg up on life, let's call it. I mean, but if you look at our tax code, there are so many special interest perks for different groups of people that I just don't get it. But anyway.
Yeah, and that was at one time, though, that was a little bit, part because, I pay for my daughter's education out of pocket, so it doesn't help me. But I'm like, wait a minute, man. Like you said, it's really helping the little guy for a change. And that actually 87% of the forgiveness is going to people making $75,000 or less. So we need to stop that daggone foolishness. But Dope, as we always, one of our top subjects at the top of the show is the stock market, which has been taking a beating for several days now. So give us an update on the stock market, Dope.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because if we get an update tomorrow, this will be the first positive full week, Monday to Friday, that we've had in a pretty good while. And so over the past week, the Dow is up 119 points, a little less than 0.5%. NASDAQ's up almost a point. Microsoft's down slightly. Tesla's up 12, and Apple's down 4. Pfizer's pretty much stayed the same. And we're hoping that things are starting to stabilize a little bit. It seems like prices have pretty much stabilized, but a lot of the services are still pretty expensive if you look to have anything done. And you wonder if that's just people trying to take advantage of the situation, because everyone's expecting costs to go higher. And so, I mean, if I had a business, I'd be raising my prices too. But we'll see how that shakes out. But hopefully we'll have a good day tomorrow and we can get things moving in a positive direction.
Well, though the other thing is they saying wages are going up, and that could be it too, because now the companies are charging. You're still charging for the higher prices because wages are starting to go up because the labor force is down. Believe it or not, man, globally, people are struggling getting workers, man, because a lot of people left with the pandemic and ain't even come back.
Yeah, but I'm just curious because if you go to a restaurant, they're always hurting for people.
Right.
Where are all the people who were working? What are they living on? I mean, I know some companies, a lot of companies, matter of fact, are paying a living wage now, and so that could account for a lot of people who might be
Mhm.
doing better and don't have to work 2 or 3 jobs. But that can't explain all the shortages in headcount or in employees.
Well,
So
I
what
know.
are those people what are they living on?
I can tell you where they are. They're in the
Where?
basement of their parents' house. They're in the basement in the attic. Some of my friends'
No.
kids are back home. So
Wow.
we'll see. And the other threat though is the Federal Reserve is still talking about raising interest rates. And that really affects a lot of things. So we'll see. We'll see. But the
Right.
crypto market, oh my goodness, dope. The crypto market is taking a beating, man. Um, which we always check the market cap. We start off like last week it was $1,200,000,000,000. It's still there this week, but the Bitcoin was $20,000, $20,088, and this week it's $19,284. And a lot of people, because in um, November of 2021, though, it got up to $65,000 per Bitcoin. That's less than a year ago, but so a lot of people are hurting, and cryptocurrency, Bitcoin at one time was half the market cap of all cryptocurrency, which was at a year ago $2 trillion, and the Bitcoin was at a trillion. Though the Bitcoin is down to $369 billion in the market. So a lot of people done took that money and ran. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And a lot of people got, afraid because, and we're going to talk about that, man, being afraid of these losses, cutting and running too soon. That's not good. And Sheba, man, that dropped down. Um, but it's holding. But it dropped from the number 11 position. I mean, excuse me. No. Shiba's staying at the 12th position out of the 18,000 or more cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is still number one, and the Dogecoin is dropped from number 10 to number 11. So the crypto market, though, is really taking a beating. As we always say, is always about the long play, and some people can't stomach it. But remember, when you jump out, it's two things that happen. You realize that loss, and you create a tax implication. So be careful. Don't be too quick. So, though, let's talk about our topic today: the three
Yeah.
financial phases.
Yeah. And this is one thoroughly enjoyed the article in Kiplinger we're going to discuss, and it's really gets you to take a step back and understand where you are. But if you're an average investor, you probably understand the three basic invariables to investing. And if you've been watching our show, you surely understand. But it's the amount of money you save, how much time is saved for, and the rate of return. And this fundamentals is essential to understanding each of the three phases we're going to talk about. And there are three separate phases. There's the build and grow, there's the transition, and finally there's the distribute and deploy. Another way to look at it is wealth accumulation, wealth preservation, and wealth distribution. And each phase plays an important part in helping you grow, enjoy, and pass on the spoils of all your hard work through proper investing. It's really important that you have a plan, no matter which phase you're in. And everyone experiences those three phases sometime in their life, whether they realize it or not. And you can leverage that financial knowledge to help you accomplish a long-term goal. The important thing to remember, it's never too late to start investing your money wisely. To come up with a plan and to start investing. It's never too late.
Yeah, so dope, that based on some of the decisions made in the financial planning stage, in this planning stage, you'll determine your economic fate. These three phases are so important in life. And this is why it's essential that you know what you're doing, that you know which phase you're in. So this is why we chose this subject today, the three financial phases in, in life. So, Doe, won't you start off with, is it the same for everybody?
No, you would think that it would be. You think that everybody would be in the same place, but they're not, because everybody's got different priorities, and for example, it could be the same year and somebody could have their own plans. If you're a saver, you're taking your vacations off peak times. So you get lower hotel fares and lower airfares. You might take advantage of a travel credit card to get low airfare prices. And of course, if you got a credit card, make sure you pay that sucker off every month. And you just have more leverage if you have a travel card. Or if you always spend big on your birthday, if you're smart, you're accumulating that money throughout the year. So when that birthday comes, you're ready to roll. And the same is true when you look at life patterns for saving and investing. If you get a well-paid job out of college, you might spend more lavishly than you would otherwise, more so than an average person. Or if you're someone who is into this new movement, the FIRE movement, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. There's a bunch of people trying to do that. So if you're doing that, you're going to have a totally different set of priorities. You're going to contribute to your retirement. You're going to save differently. All your focus is going to be on saving money. So it's important for each person to understand what their goals are and priorities. Sometimes life gets in the way, but you got to understand what you're trying to do and the best way to go about doing it.
Yeah, though we had a question by Modestine Johnson. Thank you for always tuning in and being so loyal, Modestine. She said she had a church member who just purchased a home in Baltimore under the NACA, NACA. And what is this program? I have no idea what the NACA program is, Modestine. But sure, with Google you can look it up and check it out.
But it's funny, Bob. I know Bank of America came out with a new plan, and I got a little confused reading about it because it talked about it was to help minorities get involved more in the housing market, and it talked about lower interest rates and lower money requirements. But then it said anybody could apply for the loan, and so. But it's supposed to be a way to get involved. And it's only for first-time home buyers. But that's something, if you're looking to buy a home and you're a first-time home buyer, take a look at, see what Bank of America's plan is and see if it can offer you some assistance.
So Doe, how does knowing these three financial phases really help you? Well, knowing the patterns can help you plan for the future. When you know something happens annually that you want to enjoy to the fullest and not worry about your cash flow, you can budget it in fun ways beforehand. Because a lot of people, have holidays and birthdays. Now, if some of these items have regularity, occurring dates, you can build specific timelines around them when you need to focus on saving. So taking the time to write this down is important. The important things to you, both annually and in the big picture, is a great starting point. Now, sometimes there are unplanned events like weddings, concerts, but you can find ways to save all year round. So you have emergency fund, or fund, actually, waiting for you when you need it. Now, you should only build a fund after you have a solid emergency savings fund. You know, a lot of people don't think that, but the thing is, by knowing that these three phases, you know, it's important that you start and think about, you know, the future and start thinking about some of those regular events that happen and start planning for them early. This can help you so much. Okay, Rodney looked it up. Yeah, .com. Thanks, Rodney, for throwing the link in there for us. It's the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America program offers extensive home buying counseling. Oh, wow. And there's no requirement, no down payment, though, no closing costs, no PMI, no fees, and a below market fixed rate. Additionally, NACA has expanded its best in America mortgage with $15 billion from the Bank of America, though. Wow.
Okay, that's the I didn't know that's what it was called, but that's the one I read about. No closing costs, low interest rates. Yeah, that's one. Again, if you know somebody who's looking for a house, encourage them to at least find out the details on that. I'm not recommending it because I haven't done all the research on it, but it seems like a decent program. It really does.
Neighbor NACA, the NACA. Did they pick that? That acronym sounds too close to something else. But anyway, it's the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. Thank you, Rodney. TheNoteExperience.com for coming through with the information for us, my brother. Make sure you'll go out there and check out TheNoteExperience.com if you're interested in another vehicle to invest your money in mortgage notes. Though, what phase am I in? A lot of people like to know.
Yeah, and you think it's tied to your age, but it's really not. You can make that assumption. That's not really it. You can see it better reflects where you are in your life. And we've talked about the three splits: build and grow, transition, and distribution and deploy. For example, a 35-year-old who's in this fire movement trying to retire early is in the same position as somebody who's 68, been working for a long time and looking to save for retirement. They can both be in the transition phase. So it really has nothing to do with your age. It's looking at where you are. And so assessing your stage and adjusting your plan, you should do that all the time. We've always stressed how important it is to have a plan, revise and adjust as necessary. But it's really important to put it down on paper, articulate your goals, and then focus on getting where you want to be.
Yeah, that is so important, though. Very important. So let's get into to the first financial phase, which is number one, build and grow. That's the first phase. Or I like to use this terminology, wealth accumulation. Notice we're not using the word save because that has different connotations for some people. You tell them to save. They hear it all the time, save. But it's really about building and growing. And it's about wealth accumulation. Now, about 95% of your money will have the money you will have later in life is determined how much you accumulate in this phase, the first phase. So the earlier you start, the better. Now, during this phase, decide on your long-term goals and plan for them. Is saving for retirement your top priority? Is that number one? Number two, number three. Work towards maximizing your contributions to your 401k plan. Now, a tip I learned early on was when I received a raise to save more, live off the amount that I was already comfortable with. Or is another one of your priorities buying a home? Then figure out a savings plan for a deposit for a mortgage and other expenses that is realistic and you can build on it. Now, building long-term wealth shouldn't start after you paid off all your debt either. Because a lot of people think that paying off their debt, they wait until they pay off their debt is the time to get started. No, of course, things like student loans and mortgages cannot be ignored, but it's important to understand that actively contributing to your long-term goals is so important, especially at this point in your life. The amount of money you set aside is so important. Time is on your side, so use it and get started early. The earlier you start, the better. In this particular phase, the wealth accumulation phase, the number one phase, build and grow. Take some time and sit down and consider where you are and where you want to be after your work life is over. to a lot of y'all young people, a lot of y'all millennials and Generation Z and Xers, this is the time to think about where you want to be in life. The most important thing to have is some kind of plan and direction at this stage. Now, the build and grow phase is also about protecting your future earnings. And this is a good time to take a look at life insurance and create an estate plan for you and your family. And you probably say, life insurance, yeah, because life insurance is very important. If you have a family and you're starting out now and something happened to you, you want to make sure that they don't miss your income, or they have to adjust their lifestyles because they don't have the money to fund it. This is the point in time, the build and grow phase. You need to start thinking about protecting your future earnings. Now, there are 4 key wealth accumulation priorities. 1, understand how your money grows. That means, and Doe talked about it earlier, amount saved times amount of time, the time horizon, and the rate of return. The second priority is commit to your savings plan. Said it before, the earlier you start, the better. Number 3, grow your savings through proper investment allocation. So many people miss the investment allocation. They're in the wrong funds, or they're in the wrong sectors. They don't have the right asset allocation that's within a class, or they're not diversified enough. They don't have enough stocks and bonds and money markets. So really consider the proper investment allocation. And 4th, protect what you earn through tax strategies. And like I said, insurance. And that's like not just life insurance. That's like this. That's like a disability insurance. You might, if your job offers, you might want to have that in case something happened to you. You don't want to, like I said, be able to not continue your family's lifestyle because you don't have that income coming in. So this is the time you think about those things.
Okay, the next phase, that's the transition phase. And that comes after you worked hard for 20 or 30 years, or less if you're part of that FIRE movement. And it could be a major shift from building wealth to maintaining it, but it also could be rewarding. During this phase, it's important for you to understand what you've built. It's also the time to figure out how you want to live once you decide to leave employment. Okay, and that's an interesting one because people like Bob and myself, we didn't have a lot of examples of people who worked and then retired and had a bunch of money to do whatever they wanted. So we kind of had to figure things out as we go along. But younger kids, I know my kids will have thought about this because they've seen me do it, but I had no examples of that. So once I retired, I was a little bit kind of, wow, I got all this money. Now what do I do? And so start thinking about it early. Think about how you want to live. Work with a financial advisor who can help you figure out if what you saved is enough for what you want to do. Okay, and that's really important. If you haven't done a budget yet, it's important that you start, because you got to know how you're spending so you can understand how you're going to spend once you retire. If you've never budgeted, how much you think you need in retirement can be totally off if you don't understand how you're spending money and what your needs are. And that's the time you think about, am I going to move? Am I going to stay here? Am I going to get a beach house? Am I going to, do I want to travel extensively all over the world? And you got to figure out what you want to do so you know how much money you need to do that. Another important part of this is understanding your risk. At this point, you should be a little less risky because you don't want the market to have a big correction and you lose a good part of your savings. So if you figure out how you want to live and then determine you have enough money to do that, then at that point, you can start being a little less risky because your future should be secure as you'd like it to be.
And so this is the second phase, and it's called transition, but it's also considered the wealth preservation stage. And it's so important, you all, that's that middle stage that I think a lot of people sometimes, miss, or they get caught up into so much debt that they get the albatross around their neck and they can't see the forest for the trees. So they're so busy trying to make their payments. Like the old saying, "Dope, there's more month at the end of the money." You know what I mean? So this
Yeah.
spirit is so important. So
And you know what you know what else, Bob, that people do, and I've kind of seen this a little bit, is people talk about what they want to do in retirement, but they haven't articulated those goals to help them reach that point. Okay. And if you say, I got one buddy, he's my age, but he's still working because he says he wants to spend a couple of months in Europe every year. And so he's working a little longer so he can do that. But you have to know how much you need in order you can see if you've saved enough to do what it is you want to do. So once you're younger in this middle phase is when you start thinking about that. You don't wait until you retire and see how much you have and then say, oh, I wish I had saved enough so I could do this, this, or that. You start working towards that when you're young, putting money away with goals of doing what it is you want to do when you retire.
though I want to take a minute and discuss that retirement decision. Now, I know a lot of you young people out there are not close to it, but this is a conversation that you should think about. Though I have a lot of friends who are still working, and they say to me, I don't know what I want to do if I retire. I don't know. I just don't want to sit around and do nothing. How did you come to this decision that you were ready to retire?
Well, brother man was tired. I was tired because the corporate world can be draining. It can be tiring. It wears on you. And I was just tired of having that structure of having to get up every day and go to work and listen to whatever's going on at work. And so plus I got to the point where again I had enough money to do whatever it is I want to do. So there really was no need for me to continue working. So it was kind of freedom for me. I kind of like, going to visit my grandkids, going to visit my mom, going to visit friends wherever they are. So I could not even think about working now. That's just so far from my reality that yeah, I'm glad I retired.
And I was it always strange to me when people that I know that I work side by side that's still working saying, they don't want to just be sitting around home. And I'm like, last time I remember, you were sitting around at the office doing nothing. Nobody works straight 8 hours. I'm like, you could just sit at home and do that. But this was the other one though. This was so people always say, but how do you know when? And I was always told this: you will know. And what it was, my tolerance has got short for some of the foolishness that happens in the corporate world. But I was ready, and the good thing though was, like you said, I was planned, and so when my actual retirement date came of 59 and a half, I was on 59 and a half because I just did the proper plan. And that's what we're trying to discuss these three phases because it's just that simple. It's just that simple. If you keep them in this order, you will be in a good place. So
Yeah, and Bob, the other thing is you might be forced out before you're ready. So it's really important to work through these phases, have a plan, and work through it, just in case somebody says, "Hey, it's time for you to go." You know.
well, that was the other thing though that I found that I told people I want to, get out while I can walk out for one, because too many of our friends at our job uh, stayed so long, 40 years, died, and within a week, within less than a year, they died. They didn't even get a chance to enjoy the money because they worked so long and so hard, and I think that's such a tragedy.
Yeah, and the other thing you do when you retire is you prioritize your health. I mean, my only to do every day is to get to the gym. That's the only thing I have to do every day, and that's something I want to do. I've enjoyed doing it. I've always enjoyed doing, and that's my health is now my priority because it doesn't matter how much money you have if you aren't healthy, then you may as well be broke. Queen Elizabeth, I think at one point she was the richest woman in the world. All that money ain't doing no good, and she's 96 years old. But it's still really important to take care of your health, and it's hard to do that when you're working. It may be a little easier now working from home, but when you got to get up, be in the office from 8 to 6, whatever it is, 8, 6, 7, whatever it is you start, and however long you work, it's really hard to prioritize your work because it's tough to do. But once you retire, that's what you can do.
Well, they say retirement is, when you wake up, you can do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and wherever you want. And that is so key.
That's for sure.
So let's get into the third phase, Dope. The third phase, financial phase in life, is what they call distribute and deploy, or another title for it is called wealth distribution. Now, the wealth distribution stage is more conscious than calculated like the other stages. You have to remember that the way you choose to distribute money will impact how it lasts. And this is where all that money you saved and all investments you made finally pay off. Speaking with an experienced financial advisor can help you prepare for this stage. Now, in this phase, understanding where you are and how you are going to pull from your assets is so critical. There are important strategies to think about and tax consequences to consider in this wealth distribution phase. If you're well funded and have excess assets, thinking about how you're going to leave your legacy is also important because there are many ways to give, including charities, foundations, and personal gifts. And these can be structured to be given while you are alive or after you pass. Nothing is greater than being able to determine where your assets go when you leave than people fighting over them and, just getting all emotional and stuff. But the beauty of it is it's all your choice as long as you have a good plan. And that's what me and Dope always talk about. You must have a good financial plan. You must put it down on paper, you all. Don't try to hold it in your head because, it's just a foolproof method. Now, depending on your situation and your personal intentions, this is a time for some to begin strategically gifting money and assets to the heirs. Now, some of our friends don't say, man, they ain't leaving enough for their kids because they trying to live their daggone self. But if you're trying to leave something, it's not only allows investors to take advantage of gift taxes, but it can offer a level of comfort getting to see, your wishes carried out. Like I said, now, though, check this statistic out. Regardless of gifting wishes, it's important to understand that approximately 90% of your inheritance is gone within 20 years. That's why it's important that, you can, to seek advice from a financial advisor because he can set your estate up in order for you to maximize your tax savings for not just you while you're alive, but for your heirs and minimize questions and confusion during what will inevitably be an emotional confusing and stressful time.
Hey, Bob, I can't help thinking about the song "Papa Was a Rolling Stone," and when he died, all he left us was alone.
Yeah,
and we are past that. There are a lot of people who now have money to leave, and if you don't do the research and find out the optimal way to transfer that money, the tax man will get a big portion of it. So it's really important that as you've accumulated this money, that you do some work, hire somebody to help you figure out how to make sure that it gets to where you want it to go, as opposed to just going to the tax man. And again, that's another one of those things where, I couldn't go to my father for advice. I have to figure out what to do in that situation. And a lot of us now who've accumulated some wealth have to figure out what to do, because the last thing you want to happen is to have it go to the tax man.
No, I saw.
And he will take it. He will
take it. He
will
will
take
take
it.
And a lot of people can have wills, and it's still certain states can go into probate. They don't. I saw a financial planner who wrote this, and it's pretty profound. But he said, "Do you know why most folks don't know who their great grandfather is? Because he didn't leave nothing." He said, because if they left for something, there'll be a 20 by 20 picture of great granddaddy on their wall thanking them. I'm like, damn, that's really profound. And because I don't know my great grandfather.
I don't either. I don't know my
It might be some
grandfather.
truth to that, though. It sounds kind of harsh, but
reality.
we're living in the days and times that, I hope to leave something for my kids. You know what I mean? And it's all about planning.
And again, your kids should be in a better position to leave more to their kids because of some of the things you've done. So hopefully we can learn and start passing some of this wealth down. But it takes learning and understanding the system and working the system to your advantage. But unless you do the research or have someone do the research for you, there's no way that will happen.
Right. But
so let me close this up then. No matter what financial phase you're in, you got to plan and you got to prepare for the next step. If you do that, in most cases, you're going to get positive results. The better you can articulate your goal for both the short and the long term, the more likely you have of achieving them. If you don't have any goals or you don't plan, you're probably not going to end up where you want to be. So we've always stressed the importance of planning. It's crucial. And so most people experience all three phases of the financial cycle. Some get started later than others. Some never get started, but you can get on the path toward financial freedom if you take the time to start, articulate your goal, and work towards them.
Yeah, I mean, it's no way around it, though. One of the three main issues with people with their finances is the number one is they fail to plan, and number two is they lack information, and number three is misinformation, and that's the one that most regularly happen. It's bad information from family members at the cookout. Your uncle telling you to get rich quick schemes, and this mug is broke. So because I remember I know a lot of people play the lotto, man, and though I play the scratch pad, and I think I win $5 here, $10. My luck's so bad with the scratch pad, I scratched it off the other day and said I owed $2. I'm telling you, it's tough out here. But let's go to the takeaway summary and takeaways, though. Let's recap what we were talking about. So, one of the first things from the summary of what we talked about today is everybody is different. There is no cookie cutter plan. It depends on your personal situation. When you look at those shows like Susie Orman and you listen to people giving, she giving insight and information to people that call in, that's for their particular personal situation. You must make sure that you understand your situation because everybody's different and every strategy doesn't apply the same to everyone.
You have to understand what phase you're in because that's going to make a difference in how you operate within the market. If you're in the build phase, you're going to take a little more risk and typically because you have more time to grow. Whereas if you're in the transition phase, you have to be a little more cognizant of what you're investing in. And finally, if you're in distribution phase, you need to be very careful as far as your risk assessment. So understand where you are and make sure your plan and your goals are for the particular phase that you're in.
And the earlier you get started, the better, especially you younger people, because you have the most valuable asset of all. That is youth. That is time. Remember, one of the formulas we talked about with building and growing is one of the key priorities is saving time and the rate of return. So compounding interest works in your favor. So the earlier you begin, the more your assets can grow, and compound interest and compound dividends is your friend. So the earlier you get started, no question, the better.
It's never too late to start. It's never too late to take control, to start planning, to start articulating your goals. I don't care if you're 65, it's not too late. You can reap benefits from understanding where you are, having goals, and working towards them. It doesn't matter where you are in the process or what your age is. It's never too late to get started.
They say the two most important times to invest is early and right now. It's just two, never too late. And the last one, though, is you have the power to change the course of your financial life. These three phases of the financial life that we discussed today, don't take them lightly, you all. Share them with your family, your friends, your co-workers, because it's really just that simple. It's three phases: build and grow, transition, and distribute and deploy. Or another way to say it, wealth creation, wealth preservation, and wealth distribution. It's very simple, you all. It's just not easy to do sometimes because, we do know that life gets in the way. We're not discarding that true fact. We know that things happen, but for the most part, you all, if you really put some time and thought in this, you really, really, really can get yourself set in a place, and your children's children will benefit from your planning. So, this has been an excellent show as always, man. I kind of really like this one when we put this one together because I hope we made it plain and simple, and we try to put it you all where the goats can get it. We aren't trying to use all this highfalutin financial talk because we just want our people to get their finances in shape.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Bob. It is simple, but it's kind of like Puff Daddy: more money, more problems. And it's not more money, more problem. It's more money, more information you need on how to handle that money. And that's what we try to encourage you to do. Is once you start thinking about these things, figure out what you need to make happen what you want to make happen. And it's simple. The principles are simple, and it's easy to do, but it's going to take some work from you to make everything happen the way you want it to happen.
So my friend told me this today, though, and I had to think about it. She had me dying laughing. She said, "Bob, the worst thing you can do is wake up dead." You know what I'm saying? This stuff happens, y'all. So plan to get these things in shape. So though, as we always do, I got to give the shout out, man, to our frat brother, FIA, Charles Clutch McCargo. Clutch, make sure you be at Penn State on September the 17th. Don't even try it. And Teresa, am I saying it right, though? Teresa Doty
Yeah,
Johnson?
that's my entrepreneur niece who owns her own doggy daycare and also is working in the business world. She's an important executive at RTA in Cleveland. So
Great.
we should have her. We should have her on the show one day to share her
Talk
some of her
about business,
experiences.
how she built a business.
Yep.
No question. So Teresa, stay tuned. We coming at you, girl. And look, dope. One of our stalwart regular listeners, Garnett Nickens. What's up, Garnett?
Hey, Garnett.
As always, one day Dope's going to get to meet you, girl. We're going to have a national retreat here in D.C. with all our listeners and stuff called the FITT Show annual conference. You need to think about that.
Hey, in the Bahamas, not in D.C.
You said not in D.C. Okay, in the Bahamas.
In the Bahamas.
Okay.
Let's think big.
Okay, think big. My sister Gloria, Kenza Browner. Thank you, Gloria, as always, tuning in on out there on YouTube, and want to say hello. Oh, hey, Nola, you made it. What's up, Nola? My other sister, Wanda Johnson. Oh my God. Hey, Wanda, thanks for tuning in. Wonderful FDIC. Mike Wildman, Mike out of New York. Mike Wildman holds one of the best team records, dope, of women's Scottish professional basketball. He was one of the champions. Mark Martin. What's up, Mark? My homie. How you been doing, Mark? Are you still coaching out there at Wilson High School? Carl Chapman. And my main man, my Apple Scrapple, Larry Abels. What's up, Larry? Real Fellas Talk Sports. They still going to be bringing that back on Wednesdays. I think it's Wednesdays, right? Larry Abels, thanks for tuning in. Sam Jack, Woodrow Wilson Tiger, famous, and Rodney L. Madison Sr., the noteexperience.com. Like to say hello to my, oh man, don't all three of my sisters were on. Linda was on here too. Linda Sy. What's up, Linda? And the wonderful Modus Steen. So that's everybody, though. Thank you for tuning in. Across the waters and down below, we are here every Thursday at 8 p.m. The FITT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. See you next week. Look forward to it, dope. Great show as always, brother. You're looking good, though. I gotta say, you look like you lost weight.
Trying.
That's good. Yeah, I'm trying. I just keep finding it. Later.